Hi everyone, welcome back to episode 6 of my Kerbal Space Program Let's Play Edessa series. So last time we left Valentina in her spacesuit in orbit around the moon. So what we gotta do now is we have to go and rescue her. I've done a lot of thinking since the last episode, and I've come to decide that 6,000 meters per second delta V is nowhere near enough to pull off a successful moon mission. And of course, if we're going to do a moon rescue, which is a lot harder, we had better come up with at least 7,000 delta V. So I've been thinking about this rocket, and there's a couple of things I don't quite like about it. So what I want to do now is I want to make the first stage a lot more powerful, and I want to split the first stage into 2 stages. Okay, so first thing I'll do is I'll take these off. Let's have a look at coupling. So this is, I believe it's called an asparagus arrangement, where rather than decoupling from the top to the bottom, or from the bottom to the top, you decouple off the sides. Now, another aspect of the asparagus is that you have fuel lines, and I don't have fuel lines. Okay, usually the way it works is you have fuel coming off the side boosters, entering the center booster, and then as these get depleted first, they get detached, leaving a full booster in the middle. Since we don't have fuel lines yet, I might try to do fuel flow priorities instead. Let me just have a look here. So, hello. Here we go. So I will not disable staging. There should be a setting that enables flow. What am I missing here? Okay, see, this one enables crossfeed, which is great. But it looks like the side it looks like the side decouplers don't allow that either. Okay, so that puts a dampener on things. Okay, we're not going to be able to asparagus. That doesn't matter. What we can still do is we can fire the side boosters first, decouple, fire the center booster, and go on our merry way. Now let's see if we have enough thrust to take off with just these 2 side boosters. So according to this, stage 8 has a thrust to weight of 1.3, which is nowhere near enough. I would like at least a 1.5, maybe a maybe a 1.6. Okay, so what I'll do is I'll increase the number of boosters, but first I'll increase the amount of fuel. So we'll do that. So that drops the thrust to weight to 1.16, which is fine, but I'll just take these tail fins off, and I will put, I don't know, 3 boosters on. How does the thrust to weight go with that? Thrust to weight rises to 1.4, okay. Let's try 4. Okay, thrust to weight rises to 1.56. I like that. So our initial delta V will be 2.168 meters per second. And then stage 6, which is the center booster, will give us a thrust to weight of 1.04. I'd like to increase that, so let me just swap out the swivel for a Reliant, which gives us a little bit more thrust. And okay, let me just move this further up. Okay, so that gives us a thrust to weight of 1.18. Okay. Alright, so the first stage will give us a delta V of 2,180. Second one will give us a delta V of 1,000. Third stage will give us a delta V of just under 2,000. And the final stage will give us a delta V of 2,000, giving us a total delta V of 7,220. I'm just a little bit worried about the second stage not having enough thrust there. So what I might do is, well, first thing I'll do is I'll just throw some fins on there. Okay, and I'm not liking how flimsy this connection is, so I'm just going to add a few struts to make sure that it doesn't vibrate loose. Let's see now. I cannot get these to line up, which I don't think matters that much. There we go. Let's see if I can just rotate this. I'm not liking the way this is rotated, so just... There we go. Okay, that's more like it. Just a little bit more. Okay. Still not entirely satisfied with this, but it will... Well, I suppose it'll have to do. We'll just find out what it looks like. Okay, so this is a Munar rescue. So what we want to do is want to get rid of these. We don't need the mystery goo. Don't need we don't need any of this science. We'll dump the materials bay. Okay, now this is where it gets tricky, because we're trying to rescue two Kerbals. Sorry, we're trying to return with two Kerbals. So we need 2 seats for the return trip. This capsule only gives us 1. So what we have to do is we have to figure out a way that we can put 2 Kerbals in there, which means we're going to need 2 capsules. Now we don't have separators, which means we'll have to do decouplers. Okay, so you notice how these two will separate the top and the bottom. Okay, so now I will attach a second command pod like that. Okay, throw on a heat shield. Okay, one of these. Nope, that's tiny. One of these. Okay, now since this one is attached to the top, I want to add a parachute, but we can't attach the parachute to the top, so I'll just attach some side parachutes. I hope we have, yes, we do have some side parachutes. Okay, just want 2 of those, like that. There we go, it looks like little earmuffs. Perfect. Let me just swivel this one around. Good. So what will happen is we will get to the moon, get Valentina to jump in, and then we'll do a return trajectory. We'll detach the nose cone. Valentina will return, and the rocket will then readjust its trajectory so it doesn't enter the atmosphere by itself. We will then switch to Valentina, guide her through re-entry, and then the second stage, the second capsule will return safely as well. Okay, I'm liking this plan. I am liking this plan. Let's attach decoupler. There we go, and the rest of the rocket. So what is going on? So our delta V calculations have gone right out the window. What is going on? So we have a 4th stage, decoupling, another stage, decoupling. Oh, right. It looks like for some reason our auto staging has decided that this should detach 3rd. I'm guessing that is, yeah, that's not what we want. So first we'll separate that into its own stage. So this should happen last. This should happen second to last. Okay. What is going on here? Okay. So we want these two to separate at the same time. Because if these two separate at the same time, then the top and the bottom will detach. Very nice. Or do we? I'm not sure that we do, in fact. Yeah, let's separate these two. So this will detach first, sending the nose cone away. Then this will detach, freeing up this nose cone. And this, then as this one re-enters, then we will fire this one off. Then when we're ready for this one to land, for this one to get into its re-entry, then we'll fire this one. And finally it will fire up its parachutes. Okay, I'm liking this better. Now, this connection is rather flimsy, so I'll just, this is probably not necessary, but you know, best be safe. Let's throw in some reinforcement. So a couple of struts have never gone astray. There we go. And I think just one more, just to be safe. I have no idea what this is going to do to the aerodynamic profile of the rocket. For all I know, this is simply going to topple over halfway up through the atmosphere. But hey, it's going to be a whole lot of fun finding out, right? So this one is going to need to be called something else. We're going to call it Moon Rescue. Okay, save that. Now, of course, the reason we're doing this is, I mean, we could usually just put a little probe core on the tip and not even have a second capsule. But because we still haven't got our comm network in place, we are going to be experiencing quite a few blackouts in communications, and we cannot really afford to do that while trying to do a rescue operation. So as a result, we're kind of having to jury-rig this little setup here, and we're having to send a pilot up there to rescue our pilot. Okay, I think that'll do. I think we got enough fins, which is good. Let me just adjust this position, because when these two detach, we want them to fly off rather than fly inwards. Okay, that looks good. So this lot will fire first, we'll detach, and this one will fire, then we'll detach, and this will fire, we'll detach, then this will fire, and then we will detach the nose cone, then the other nose cone, this will then land, then the second nose cone will detach, and it will land. Okay, I'm liking this. Let's put down some hold down clamps. Nice lot of hold down clamps. Getting a little bit tight in there. Let me just see. How are we doing? Okay. Well, it's getting very busy down here, but that should hopefully be enough. That should be more than enough, but yeah, hopefully that should be enough struts to hold these side boosters on. Okay. Well, there's only one way to find out. Let's just make sure that our clamps fire off at the same time as our takeoff engines. Okay. Beautiful. And that gives us a delta V of 6.328. What on earth just happened? Has adding a second command pod taken away over 800 delta V from us? Oh boy. I don't know. Should we add some more fuel? Let's try adding some more fuel. Okay, that did not affect delta V at all. It just reduced our thrust to weight. Okay, that is about the limit of what we can do with these side boosters, it seems. Okay, well, I suppose all we can do is try. I'll just save this. So, Jebediah, you're going into the second command pod. So he's going in this one. And Valentina will go on the top. Okay. Let us attempt this. Okay, so it has passed the first test. The rocket hasn't toppled, which is nice. Let's just make sure we're angled correctly. Okay, so we're facing that way. So while we're taking off, I'm going to be pushing down on the throttle to head towards the 90-degree mark. Okay. And let me just try some of these gimbals, make sure that my bindings are still good. Okay. My yaw, my roll, my pitch. Okay, we're looking good. Well, I suppose I may as well start the countdown. As you can imagine, I'm quite apprehensive, so we'll enable SAS. I really hope this works. Okay, that's Moon Rescue Rocket, attempt number 1, in 3, 2, 1. Okay, we have liftoff. Not going as fast as I'd like at this point, but we're holding steady. Okay, approaching 90 meters per second. We'll start to tilt downwards. A little bit wobbly, but that's alright. Trying to keep that at 90 degrees. We're pointing at 80 at the moment, so I'm just trying to gimbal around. Keeping our angle of attack nice and low. Or as low as I can, anyway. Okay, going on 45 degrees. Approaching 90 degrees. Okay, going past 35 degrees pitch, 88 degrees bearing, passing 25 degrees pitch, 89 degrees bearing, 12 kilometers altitude, 15 degrees pitch. Awful lot of squirreliness happening at the moment. Let's see. Okay, first stage detach. Second stage ignition. 17 kilometers altitude. An awful lot of squirreliness. Trying to maintain that 10 degrees pitch at this stage. Okay. Okay, it looks like I may have pitched down a little bit too soon. We'll find out. Yeah, I've definitely pitched down too soon. We're going to be losing an awful lot of velocity in the atmosphere at this point. Okay, almost out of fuel on second stage. And up we get. I do not like how well this launch has gone at all. We'll see how much delta V we have once we get up there. Okay, approaching 100 kilometers altitude. And I'm going to use Jeb's pro-grade skill to just keep us pointed forward at this point. Okay, well that definitely could have gone better, but it may not be a total loss. I definitely went way too shallow. Still have another 1,000 meters per second delta V in this third stage, which is good. Just going to push the apoapsis out to 125 kilometers, all the while giving us more and more sideways velocity. The idea is basically every bit of vertical velocity you give yourself, you're going to have to pay back, right? So if you go up 100 meters per second, eventually you're going to lose that 100 meters per second, and it's going to turn into negative 100 meters per second because of gravity, right? Whereas any sideways velocity, unless if you lose any due to friction, is pretty much yours to keep. So any velocity you can put in to go sideways is money in the bank. Okay, so approaching 130 kilometers altitude for our apoapsis. Let's have a look at the map. So that's 5 minutes away. Let's just see. So add maneuver to apoapsis and try to do a circularization maneuver. Find out how much is that going to cost us. Okay. So that is going to be 180 meters per second, which is relatively cheap. So that'll leave us roughly 800 meters per second delta V once we have circularized, and we need roughly 750 just to reach the moon. This is still less than ideal, but it is not as bad as I feared. It is not as bad as I feared. Okay, Jeb, if you'd like, you can get out and do an EVA. There you go. Go back inside. It's got a little bit of spin there, which is cool. I'm just going to try to rotate the rocket towards our maneuver node. Just to get ready for a maneuver. There we go. Very nice. Okay, so now I can fast forward time until we get to our maneuver node. That's 3 minutes to go. 2 minutes 30 seconds. 2 minutes. 1 minute. Okay. Now, as we approach our maneuver node, because it is a circularization burn, I'm just going to point us towards prograde instead of towards our maneuver node. Okay, and let's just rotate ourselves around so that we're facing upwards. There we go. I cannot believe how much delta V we lost on our way up, and just simply for having a second command pod. Okay, 6, 5, 4, 3. I'm just going to start to throttle up now. What is going on? Come on, prograde. There we go. And we are now circularizing. Beautiful. Okay, so now we have an apoapsis of, I want to scale this. So we now have a periapsis of 129 kilometers, or just under 130, and 135 kilometers. That is circular enough for our purposes. And we have 845 meters per second left in this particular stage. So I'm just going to set the moon as the target, and pick a point roughly where I think the moon is going to be when we get there. So I'll add a maneuver here, throttle that up, and let's see how we get for intercepting the moon. Looks like I misjudged. Okay, there we go. Let's focus on the moon and fine-tune our maneuver node. So I'm just going to adjust the position in terms of time, just to bring our periapsis lower. Come on. Okay, just pushing that to be nice and low without actually changing the amount of fuel we're going to spend. Okay, that should bring us nice and low, but I don't actually want to be that low. I'll just bring it out a little bit. 134 kilometers altitude. I like that. Ooh, that's quite an adjustment we're having to do, so let me just see if I can adjust our angle here. So try normal. Oh, normal doesn't do anything. And that does nothing either. Okay. Let's try to reduce our prograde velocity so that we can at least be nice and high. It's much easier to change your angle of orbit the further out you are, because you're moving more slowly. Sorry, the reason I'm actually doing this is because notice how Valentina's orbit is angled like so, and when we get to the moon we will be angled like so. So in order to intercept Valentina, we're going to have to burn sideways in order to catch her. I see, but notice how Valentina, she's got a bright trail here and a dark trail here. That means that she's orbiting in this direction. And if we intercept the moon going in this direction, then we're going to have to burn in the opposite direction to match up with our velocity. Okay, so now I'm going to adjust our positioning so that we get to the moon from the other side. Just adjusting the timing of our intercept. Whoops. What is going on? It seems that we're not able to catch the moon in the direction I'd like. Why is that? Why is that? Okay, let's adjust the prograde retrograde, see what we can do here. Okay, that's more like it. That is much more like it. Let's adjust our position. There we go. So this will bring us traveling in this direction, where we will then burn to retrograde to circularize. Then we'll have to do an adjustment burn just so we can get in the same angle as Valentina. Okay. So this will just about use up our current stage. We have 845 in the tanks, and we need 147 for this burn. So let me just adjust the amount we're going to burn. Okay. And then adjust our position. Okay, so 845 in the tanks. We need 841 to get there. Okay, and once we get there, let me just add another maneuver node to Periapsis. We are going to need so what are we going to need? We're going to need 285 delta V from the next stage. Okay, that should be more than enough, because we then should have another 2,000 remaining. Unless I have my wires crossed. No, I do. In fact, I believe this is total delta V, not what's left in the next stage. So when I subtract this from that, that leaves us roughly 1,500 meters delta V. So when I take away 285 from that, that should leave us with about 1,200 delta V, which should be plenty to do the intercept and send both Valentina and her rescuer Jeb back home. Okay, so let me untick these. We'll turn this off because we don't need this at the moment. We'll recreate it once we get to the moon. Okay. So when is our burn? Our burn is in 8 minutes time. So let's angle ourselves towards the direction of the burn. And then fast forward. Oops. Come on. There we go. Okay, now we just fast forward. Okay, 7 minutes, 30 seconds. Getting past 5 minutes, 3 minutes, 2 minutes, 1 minute. Getting close now. 1 minute. Okay, good a time as any. Let's start burning. And away we go. Let's have a look. All right, out it gets. There we go, almost there. Come on. Almost there. And engine cutoff. Beautiful. So we were able to actually do that for 11 meters per second less than we planned, but We have 7 meters per second left in the tanks for this particular stage. This is fine. This is all good. All that's going to happen is, according to these calculations, let me just go back. Once we detach from that stage, it will then loop around the moon and smash back into the planet, which is fine. That's just minimizing space debris, which is great. Always a good thing. Let's go back to the moon. Okay, now we should be good to just fast forward to the point where we intercept the moon. Okay, let's activate our Kerbal alarm clock. We'll do a quick add. Sphere of influence change alarm. And let's warp to that. Away we go. There comes the moon, getting nice and big in the window. And we're there. Alrighty, let's have a look at the map. So now we'll add periapsis maneuver node and burn to retrograde just so we can circularize. Okay. That's close enough to circular. There we go. Let's rotate our rocket towards the direction of our maneuver node. It's always good to do this, just so you're not doing a mad scramble at the last second. There we go. Jeb seems exceedingly happy. Okay, so that's all in place. Let us warp to the maneuver alarm. Okay, approaching maneuver node. Now we're going to have to think fast, because we're only going to burn through maybe 7 meters per second, so it's a fraction of a second. And then we're going to have to stage. Okay. We're about 3 minutes out. Let me just turn this off. 2 minutes. 1 minute 30. I think around the 1 minute mark we'll just burn a little bit. Okay, and engine start. Yep, that was a nice short and sweet. So staging. And engine start. Go 150 meters to go, meters per second I should say. Let's have a look at the map. Here comes our apoapsis rapidly descending. Just throttling down. Beautiful. That is circular enough. Let's have a look. 295 kilometers periapsis and 310 kilometers apoapsis. That is good enough. Now, let's set our target to Valentina. Let's have a look at our, oh wow, we're 7.6 degrees out. Which is fine. It just means that we now add maneuver node to the target descending node, which is this particular node. By the way, the ability to add a maneuver node to a nearby landmark, this is given to us by a mod, and it is incredibly valuable. It's just way easier than just guessing. And the thing is, it's one of those things that doesn't really take skill, it's just the inaccuracies of your pointing device. So it's just an endless frustration that is unnecessary. So the mod just makes that transition smoother for us. Okay, so what I've done is I've added a little bit of sideways delta V to our maneuver node, and I have adjusted our ascending node to be 0 degrees. That will perfectly match up with Valentina's current orbit. Okay, nice and apprehensive here. Yeah, it's the burn node is in 10 minutes, so we'll just angle our rocket in the direction of our maneuver node, and then warp to it. There we go. And we shall fast forward to the maneuver alarm. Okay, thank you very much. Kerbal alarm clock is amazing for this, especially if you have, once you start having multiple missions all happening at the same time, the Kerbal alarm clock is incredibly valuable for this. Okay, so we need a 4-second burn in 2 minutes and 45 seconds. So I'm just going to fast forward until we're nice and close to our maneuver node. So this is our moon rescue rocket. As you can see, it's approaching our maneuver node here, and there's Valentina over there. Okay, we are now 1 minute out, 30 seconds out, 15 seconds, 10 seconds. Okay, so I'm just going to start throttling up. And you can see our orbit is starting to change its angle. There we go. So what is our ascending node is now 0.2 degrees, which is way better than it was before. But I'm afraid I may have overshot a little bit. Let me just try to burn in the opposite direction. Just to get that down to 0 or close enough. There we go. We now have an ascending node of 0 degrees and a descending node of 0 degrees as well. We are now perfectly aligned with Valentina's orbit. We can now burn prograde or retrograde, retrograde in this case, and plot an intercept course. So, for lack of any better location, I'll just pick a spot and burn to retrograde and have a look at where our intercept is going to be. So you can see our intersect positions are off, so I'll just move that around. There we go. Okay, let's move that forward. Let's have a look here. So that gives us a separation of 21 kilometers. Let me just adjust the position of that. Try to get that sub 1 kilometer. This is tricky. There we go, 0.9. Okay, let's fine tune that. Manually adjust. 0.7, 0.8, 0.7 is good enough. Okay. Okay, same story again. Let's rotate towards our maneuver node, which is going to be in 5.5 minutes. There we go, and we shall fast forward to that. Seeing the wonderful landscapes of the moon in the distance. Okay, and let us burn. Now we missed our burn node because I was looking at the moon. But yeah, hopefully it won't make all that much difference. Okay, coming down. And it looks like it has made quite a bit of difference, so I'm just gonna burn until we get close enough. Okay, we're gonna miss her on the first intercept, but on the second intercept we're getting very close. Beautiful. We're gonna get within 100 meters of her on our second intercept. Excellent. Excellent, excellent. Okay, let's add another alarm. I'm not seeing a quick ad for this. Okay. So closest target. Margin 1 minute. Orbis is search. Distance 93 meters on orbit 1. Okay. Add that alarm, please. So that's going to happen in 47 minutes. Good. There we go. And now we simply fast forward. There's Valentina, 38 kilometers away. She is now... We're just going to fly past the first, and then we're going to catch her on the second intercept. There she goes. 20 kilometers away. 2 minutes to intercept. Lovely. Okay. We are now 50 seconds to 100 meters intercept. That's going to take 6 seconds of burning. And it's already set us to the relative velocity to our target, which is Valentina in this case. So what I've done is I've told Jeb to turn to retrograde, which is great because he has a single star pilot, and that gives us this prograde retrograde option here. Okay, so let's just fast forward. Okay, approaching 1 kilometer, throttling up. 500 meters. 400 meters. We're coming for you, Valentina. Hang in there. 300 meters. 200 meters. There she goes. 100 meters. 110 meters. There we go. Now let's turn towards Valentina and see if we can close that distance somewhat. We go. And for some reason, I always seem to be doing all of my rendezvous in the dark. I don't know what the deal is, but I'm always in the shadow of some planetary body or another. But that's just as well. We still have our instruments. 20 meters away. 19. Let's kill that velocity. We're 15 meters away. And we're at 0. We have no external lights, but I believe Valentina does. So let's switch over to her. Okay. There you go, Valentina. There we go. Grab hold. Lovely. And board. Yep, sure, dump your experiments. Woo! Alrighty. That is Valentina on board. I certainly hope that she's going to get some stars of experience from this, because this has been very interesting. Very interesting indeed. Okay. Now all we have to do is plot a return course and hopefully survive the return home. So, the plan once again is to burn towards the planet and then set up a re-entry trajectory, detach the front nose cone, and then switch back to this rocket and burn to correct it so that it doesn't also go through re-entry. So while this does a single orbit around the planet, this one, we'll switch to this one and we'll guide it through its re-entry. Once this one is safely on the ground, then the rest of the rocket will burn again, and it will then go through re-entry itself. So we have some messages. Stable orbit has been achieved. Taking our first steps towards exploring the moon. Bunch of accomplishments, which is nice. We've planted a flag on the moon, which is good. Excellent. Okay, now we have to plot a course back home. Okay. Okay, that is probably good enough. Let's just lower that nice and low. 71 kilometers is plenty. You know what? That's good enough. Let us move towards our maneuver node. There we go. And that is going to happen in 30 seconds. Wow, okay. Talk about hectic. And again, it's happening in the dark, but that's fine. That's fine. Fast forward. And burn. There we go. Excellent. Alrighty. So let's set an alarm for when we change the sphere of influence from the moon to Kerbin. Away we go from the moon. Okay, changing sphere of influence now. We're on our way home. Okay, so now we're going to turn to retrograde and then burn again to get this to be inside the atmosphere, which is lower than 70 kilometers. Okay. What is going on here? Oh, I see. Okay. There we go. So let's burn until this is roughly 25 kilometers. $25 and 42. That's plenty. Okay, we still have 762 meters per second delta V, which is great. Okay. I really hope I have this planned out right. So I'll just quick save just in case. And the next stage will be the top to detach. Okay. So if I now stage... There we go. And now Valentina is loose. And she has a periapsis of 18 kilometers. Good. That should do us. So now we'll swap back to the rocket. And we can now jettison this thing. Now we can jettison that later. Now we can jettison it now. We'll just turn off to the side because we don't want it to hit Valentina in the back. Unlikely to happen, but still. Okay, so now we will stage again. I'm not sure what just happened there, but let's just decouple that manually. And away it goes. Okay. So now we'll turn to prograde again. And Jeb, what's happening? Ah, there we go. Turn back to prograde. And burn towards prograde until our periapsis is higher than 70 kilometers. At 77, that should be plenty. Good stuff. So now Jeb is going to do one complete orbit while Valentina does her re-entry. Let's swap over to Valentina's craft. And we shall add an alarm. Let's see. Okay, it doesn't look like it has options for re-entry. So what we can do is we can add a maneuver node close to re-entry, and then we'll warp to that. Where is the planet? There's a planet, okay. Appears to be directly below us, which is cool. So now we'll fast forward to the maneuver. Down we go. This is going to be a really fast re-entry, which is fine. That's why we have the heat shield. Okay, let's just turn to retrograde like that. And we don't need that maneuver node anymore. Go to the alarm clock. Just double checking. So that is our rescue ship, and that is with Jeb flying it, and this is us. And we're about to slam into that atmosphere nice and hard. Okay. This may well work. I was not sure this was going to work, but let's find out. So we're coming in fast. 2,500 meters per second, which is insane. At 3.6, I believe that's 9 9,000 kilometers an hour, 10,000 kilometers an hour, over 10 times the speed of sound. This is going to be a hard impact. Let's just make sure that we're angled towards rearwards. There we go. Okay, we should be safe. As soon as we strike that atmosphere hard enough, we should be safe to disable SAS. And just let it aerodynamically stabilize. Okay, we're hitting that atmosphere at 3,180 meters per second. This has got to be some kind of record for at least our space program. 40 kilometers altitude. (3,000 meters per second) and rapidly slowing. 3 Gs. 3.5 Gs. 4 Gs. Valentina would be feeling very heavy at this point, as she's very apprehensive, as you can see. Rapidly slowing down, going through 2,100 meters per second at 26 kilometers altitude. Look at that heat shield glow. We're looking good, 1,500 meters per second. We've bled off more than half our speed by this point. This may well work. We have no communication with headquarters at this point because the plasma is blocking our radio signals. And it looks like we're through the worst of it. We now have radio contact again. 700 meters per second. We're looking good. Go, Valentina. You are going to return home today. And there we have it. Going through the sound barrier now. We're subsonic. 300 meters per second. Deploying parachute. I believe that is Jeb off in the distance, 70 kilometers away. He's going to fly over us as we land, and he will land on the next orbit. Going through the cloud layer now at 8 kilometers. Beautiful. Looks like Valentina's going to land in the mountains. I certainly hope that she lands on something nice and flat. I do not want her tumbling down a hillside. 200 meters per second. The parachute still hasn't fully deployed. 4 kilometers altitude. Yep, we're definitely coming down in the hills. Come on, come on, come on. There goes the parachute deploy. Oh, beautiful. Rapid drop in velocity. 6 meters per second. Whew! There you go, Valentina. A comedy of errors to get to the moon, to land on the moon, topple over on the moon, and then slide sideways trying to take off, and then run out of fuel, and then use your own spacesuit, your EVA suit, to actually prevent yourself from slamming back into the moon again. There we go, up to touchdown. Up, don't you dare topple. There we go. Well, it has toppled, but I suppose that's just keeping in with tradition, but she's down safely. Valentina, you can now do an EVA. And you can climb out. There you go. I figure I'll just add a flag here. Valentina's landing. Here, the brave Valentina Kerman first landed back on the surface of Kerbin after completing the first lunar landing. Okay. And now you can get back into your capsule and await rescue. Okay, you can climb back into your capsule and await rescue. There we go. World first milestones. We returned home from orbit of the moon, planted the flag. First one of our flags at home. Very nice. Recover. Okay, we have a ton of science. 609.1 science earned. Very nice. And Valentina has gained 7 experience points, advancing to first star. Good stuff. So that means our contract is complete. Good. Now all that's left to do is to guide Jebediah back home. Okay, fly. So checking in with Jeb, he's just flying over the planet now. What I might do is I might just, because he has quite a lot of fuel still left in the tank, so I might just turn to retrograde and shorten our orbit somewhat, because he's going to be going quite high at 8 hours away. So I'll just burn off a little bit of that. Yeah, drop that to 5 hours. Should definitely have enough fuel left for a re-entry burn. Dropping that down to 3.5 hours. 3 hours. Okay, that should definitely do. So now, let's add a maneuver node to apoapsis and burn to retrograde. Lovely. Okay, Jeb, I believe you are also going to be flying home today. Okay. So turning to retrograde. Our burn is in 2 minutes and 50 seconds, so we'll just fast forward to get there. And throttle up. That gives us a periapsis of 21 kilometers. Very nice. So doing our trick again of adding a maneuver node here and then warping to it. Where's the planet? There's the planet, okay. There we go. Okay, as we get closer, I'm just going to burn off the rest of our fuel. Coming down, 3 minutes to re-entry. 2 minutes. Coming down 1 minute. Okay, let's turn to retrograde and burn off the rest of our fuel. .30 seconds to re-entry, dropping our velocity to less than 2,500 meters per second. Very nice. .2,200 meters per second. And we're almost out of fuel. We have engine shutdown. Very nice. So now we're gonna separate. Hey. Again, want to separate sideways because don't want to run into our own debris. Decouple. Very nice. And then turn to retrograde. Okay, definitely a far more gentle re-entry. I think. Wow, okay. We're hitting 6 Gs, 7 Gs. Oh wow, hang in there, Jib. Just under 7 Gs. Four Gs. Well done, Jib. You survived 7 G forces. Okay, we're subsonic. Deploying chutes. Just making sure these are definitely parachutes. Yeah, okay. Would have been a heck of a time to find out these are only drogue chutes. Okay, we're coming down. Looks like we're gonna hit the highlands just at the edge of the desert. That's fine. Nice and wobbly with these parachutes, but that should be fine. .2 kilometers. We have full parachute deployment. We're coming down nice and gentle. Lovely. Welcome home, Jeb, and well done on a successful rescue mission. There's our shadow over there. We're almost on the surface. There goes our booster that's just impacted on the surface. Coming down. Here we go. Beautiful. Safely on the ground. Okay, Jeb, you can EVA and collect some science. There you go. Let's do an EVA report. Spacesuit wasn't entirely necessary to get here, was it? Yeah, it's true, but you needed a spacesuit to fly out in outer space, Jib. Okay, and get in there. Yep, dump experiments. Let's go home. And that was a resounding success. Jeb has gained 1 experience point, but he hasn't gone to 2 stars yet. That's fine. And it appears that the Kerbal Space Center has undergone some flooding. This happens sometimes. This is because of a glitch that happens occasionally. It's just cosmetic. The way around it is you get into the monitoring station and then you get back out again. There we go. Dry as a bone again. Beautiful. And that is way over time. Thanks everybody for sticking through it. We have performed a successful rescue operation. We've returned from the moon. We've recovered a Kerbinaut in orbit of the moon in a spacesuit. And we have managed to land 2 separate command pods. Yep, I call that a resounding success. We've made a ton of money. We're now sitting at just under 900,000 credits, and we have more science that we'll probably know what to do with. In truth, this will probably go really, really fast, but it should definitely advance our space program quite a long ways. This is good stuff. This is Zach Gungo. Thanks everybody for watching, and we shall see you again in the next episode.